Howdy, everyone. This is Jeff Megow again with tenantimprovement.com, the Lease and Build Podcast. Thank you all for checking out another one of our episodes. I've got an exciting one today because, again, having a commercial floor covering business, we work a lot with general contractors in the tenant improvement space. And so today I've got a great expert, a new friend that we've been talking for a little while, and I'm happy to have him, Mr. Jesse Young with Bayshore Construction.
Right.
Jesse?
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. So for those of you who don't know, tenantimprovement.com is kind of a industry platform, all things related to capital improvement, tenant improvement projects. And we're just having open discussions so that we can share with potential clients some of the aspects of the different vendors and the different trades that are involved in the processes that you might go through as a resource. So thank you again for tuning in. So Jesse, tell me about yourself. Tell me about where you come from, who you are, family life, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'm married. I have 5 wonderful children, ranging from 10 weeks old now.
I was going to say
10 weeks old now. Yeah. To almost 17. So, got the full spectrum. It's pretty exciting in our house. You would think that the almost 17-year-old would be helpful with the youngsters, but teenagers, right? But so my wife, she's a nurse practitioner, so she works in the healthcare field and has been for a long time. I've been a general contractor, been working as a general contractor this is my 19th year.
Okay, wow.
And I've owned Bayshore. Bayshore Construction was founded in 2021, January 2021. So we're approaching our 5-year anniversary. Okay. So I like to say, even though we've only been around for 5 years, this is
nothing new to you.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
But right? you're kind of born out of the pandemic. Was there a relation to the time and the reason why that you chose to start it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes. I was working for a contractor during the pandemic, and had come to a few realizations throughout that process. Of course, it was a difficult time for everybody. I mean, I think everybody in the industry, it just was a cultural shift, it felt like. But left the contractor I was working at for several reasons, and honestly didn't have a plan, Jeff. I just I got on my boat, I went fishing, and my wife, a few prayers, show me the way. I actually, before starting the company, in that about 30-day period, because I left the contractor I was working at right around Christmas, and then I started at Christmas of 2020, and then I started the company in January of 2021 towards the end, and during that period, I had a lot of self-reflection, and I actually considered getting out of the game, and but then of course it reeled me back in like it does, right? But no, it was good. The foundations I deploy with our company are things that are very important to me personally, and so I wanted to be the reason why a company stood for what I believed in, I guess, is the best way for me to describe it. But
and there's some kind of organization, I should probably think about it before I talk towards it, but it's some type of purpose-driven organizations now.
Yeah.
That they're like, okay, this is who we are in the community and how we're trying to move forward. And I think that in general contracting, that's probably would be a very appreciated thing with your clients to get to know you.
Yeah, I think some of it, I always had a natural ability to lead. I mean, obviously I'm big in stature. I'm just an imposing person physically and deep voice and all those things. But I think that deep down, I'm just as soft and tenderhearted as the next guy, right? But I always enjoyed teaching.
Yeah.
And I felt like this gives me the most exposure to teach the knowledge that I've gained and give that, to the next generation of general contractors, next generation of project managers and superintendents. And I do a lot of that. Internally, we do a lot of teaching. Um, anytime one of us makes a mistake, we always do a stand down, iron sharpening iron sort of scenario where we'll gather around, we'll look at it, we'll kind of unbiased third party. What can we do differently? And what decisions can we make differently next time? And I think a lot of general contractors miss out on those opportunities. I really do. But project management these days is very digital, and so you lose out on this face-to-face interaction, and it's very important. And I think a lot of the recent college graduates, they're going straight from graduating college to using a software like Procore, and they're missing out on the person-to-person interaction.
Yeah, with AI and technology, completely understand that. There was one other thing that you said that made me kind of chuckle was, we had an installer, and he was a big statured guy also.
Yeah.
and he was a good teammate. And I mentioned to him one time, I was like, sometimes it get kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, Jeff, I'm going to let you know. Sometimes I get a little scared too, but you just have to move forward with faith." So, but the other thing that you're talking about in terms of, I think you're right. Like when you have your own small business, then it starts to grow. The lessons learned are so important. And if you can somehow systematize the absorption of those,
Right.
and we've created something called Floor Wando, right? And
I like
we've been thinking about it for years, but we just in the last couple of months, and we're like collecting, hey, remember this? Great. And we're going to then start have people check off they remember it, which increases their percentage of what they've shown to have learned.
Yeah.
And then it's a good tool to remind what they may have forgotten, because we all sometimes can do that. So, well, that's exciting. So what part of Houston, Texas and abroad, farther out, closer in?
Yeah, I have a saying when someone asks us, where do we work? And my response is always construction travels. So, I mean, and quite frankly, an effective project manager can be on a beach in, Bora Bora and manage a project as long as they're communicating correctly. So, we're located down in the League City area, but I mean, our primary is the greater Houston area.
Okay.
But we don't limit ourselves to that. We've recently completed a project in San Antonio.
Okay.
Last summer, we completed a project just north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we bid projects. Haven't won one yet in Dallas. So we're open to traveling.
If you have the right relationship, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, something strange I found in some of these other market areas, and I'm just finding this out. Maybe other people smarter than me knew this for years, but we actually have some of the most competitive subs and vendors I think I've ever seen, because I'm going into markets such as Austin, San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
We are more successful bringing Houston subs into that market than we are hiring local subs in that market. It's happened twice in the last 3 years, where the delta between local San Antonio vendors versus Houston vendors, who obviously have travel and
expense,
housing and per diem and all of those things, the difference is roughly 30%.
Wow.
Of a difference. Yeah.
Okay.
It's wild. A little mind-boggling, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's not that way in Dallas. Obviously, Dallas is a huge metroplex, and maybe that explains it.
Right. And then maybe the growth of Austin and San Antonio recently. So tell me about the different roles and how you guys interact. Architects, owners, brokers, architects.
Sure.
I always wonder, how does a GC find the business? Or how does the client find the right GC? I guess we can ask it from our point of view, but also from the listener's point of view. How do they find you? Through architect, through property management, through leasing?
So my uncle, who's owned a financial services business for about, I think, 45 years, he told me when I started the company, he said, the hardest thing you're going to do is finding your customer. So, and that's proven to be true. To answer your question, how you find the customer, it's honestly whatever means necessary. There's really no right or wrong way. I try very hard to have at least one significant sales conversation a week. I know that sounds low, but that
Quality versus quantity.
well, I beyond that, I'm still bidding 4 to 5, 10, sometimes 12 projects a week, right?
Right.
I'm saying when I say significant, I mean someone that's a cold relationship that I haven't met, I haven't talked to, I haven't worked with, super duper cold.
Yeah.
And to capture those people, it's referrals.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that that sales tool is as old as time, you know. But we are contacting architects that we've built relationships with, engineers that we've built relationships with, property managers, owners reps,
Mhm.
whoever we can, and everybody all at the same time.
So are there certain questions that you see clients don't ask that they should? What is it that they like? You can easily pull up a list of questions on, hey, I'm going to
Sure.
qualify this contractor. What do you wish that you think that they might need to think about?
You know, I do wish that our clients and our owners would evolve to a time where they put the importance on the delivery of the project. And what I mean by that is how good is a contractor who um, has a way of being transparent. They can show you everything that they're doing. They can communicate that proactively, effectively. I feel like we're in a scenario where they always just want to go with the lowest number or go with just a friend. But what I've seen play out is um, schedules will drag, and I think that's an important part of it. If an owner would ask, "Hey, how do you manage a schedule? What happens?" Or and I'd be honest with you, a lot of schedules that are published, they're not schedules that work.
I
Um,
don't think
they're
I,
not.
most schedules that come
Yeah,
to our desk, I'm kind of like, it's a
yeah,
nice guideline,
yeah,
but I don't see it.
yeah. So I recognize that as a problem.
Yeah.
Even working, I'm guilty,
Mhm.
guilty of the same. And recognizing that's a problem. So I sought out help because when I am going to sell a project, that's what I'm selling. I'm not going to sell, hey, we are the most cost effective solution. That is not sustainable. What is sustainable is we are the best choice because we communicate effectively. We have a dashboard that you can see everything that's happening in the project
Project
almost.
client dashboard, like so the client gets to get in and see it.
So in Procore, yes.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So Procore is set up to where we can have they can basically watch it.
Okay.
And so I sought out the help. We partnered with a firm called Build Better Ways. You may have heard of them. I don't know if you have or not. And this is not a shameless plug or anything.
Yeah.
It's not.
Plug away.
Yeah,
I got no shame.
it's not. But Kendall and Whitney over there.
Uh-huh.
If you want to train your GC teams how to build a schedule,
Okay.
they have got it down.
So that's their service. Their service is to take a organization and teach them how for project is they're teaching project manager or
Yeah,
they're
so
offering
so
project?
yeah, that's a good question. And I didn't mean to like get on the topic of Build Better Ways, but I will plug them. They
Yeah.
they they did wonders for us. But I actually hired them to help me write some of our policies and procedures
Oh, okay.
because I have
Sure.
a sticky note that's on one of my screens that says name the process, like what you just called
Floor one dough.
floor one dough.
Yeah.
You named the process.
Okay.
I have yet to make it there yet.
Okay.
And I wrote that down a long time ago. Name the process,
Yeah.
right? And they were a part of that. They helped me write the policies and procedures. And then um, it was great, the schedule component. And if you saw our schedules and you compared them against some of our competitors, you would be very surprised how effective they are. And so Josh in our office is the leader of that. So he's great at it.
There's a book that I recommend to people called the Checklist Manifesto.
Okay.
Probably 20-year-old book, if not older. A woman that I recommended it to 15 years ago, she happened to come by the office for a project. I hadn't seen her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Checklist Manifesto. You told me 15 years ago, totally changed my business." And I'm revisiting that this month, going, okay, team,
Interesting.
we need to be better at it. And so anyway, so that's my book plug that I think helps. But I think it's interesting that you said, because I know you've talked about some smaller projects you've done. You've also talked about that large suite or full floor build out, but you talked about the CEO suite in and of itself was
No, yeah,
4,500 square feet and
right,
$600 a
yeah,
square foot build out, which is an insane budget for
right.
a CEO. But do you see that people are making the pick based on who their buddy is or who they know versus those simple?
Yeah,
They really need to be focused on the process and the quality for success.
yeah. I think in a perfect world, I think I would have them focus on completely objective view of the general contractor. Who is the best qualified.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think that the idea of not partnering with a friend or colleague, I don't think that is something that will ever go away.
Yeah.
That is always a very
It's the
important thing. That
no.
it's the relationships, right? And those are very important.
Yeah.
You know, I started my career as a superintendent, so I kind of started my career 5 years behind schedule. Yes, I got to learn the nuts and bolts of a construction project, but I missed out on building that network in the first 5 years of
Yeah.
my career. But having worked for the contractor I worked at and having that on my resume kind of launched me to be able to do some different things in
Sure.
my career too.
So anyway, so the checklist manifesto book I honestly has changed Floor Zone 15, 20 years ago when we started
I have
implementing
to
some
check
of
that
it.
out. I haven't
It's
heard of that one.
it's a real good book. So the airline pilots that landed the Sully, that landed the plane on the Hudson,
Ah,
those two airline pilots did not know each other until they stepped on the plane. First time they ever met. And they did this amazing thing and saved lives. The airline industry is notorious for it. You got a problem, grab the checklist book. Oh, okay, we solved three of the
that's
four.
true.
Go to the next.
Yeah.
And they systematize it so much. And
Thank you, NASA.
yeah. And so anyway, so that's something we always look for. So tell me, okay, so if we were going to talk about, I just hired a GC, what's that process that I'm going to experience getting going and then finalizing the job?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not all that exciting.
Okay.
But for us, obviously, when a general contractor gets awarded a project, we celebrate. I mean, that is the first thing that happens. We pat ourselves on the back, we pat everybody that was involved on the back, and then that lasts for 10 to 15 seconds,
It's like,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're like, what do we forget?
Yeah, exactly. That and then reality sets in. Like there's a funny saying amongst general contractor, he who misses the most wins the most jobs. So anyways, no, but really what we do is the buyout process starts, right?
Okay.
So all general contractors a little bit differently. Some actually have an estimating team that then will they'll get the contract signed, and once that contract is signed, then they'll hand it off, right? Because being awarded a project does mean signed contract. I can't tell you how many times even I've been in a scenario where a client's like, yes, move forward, send us a contract, and then crickets, so but once the contract is signed, then it's a real project. Start the buyout process. Estimator hands it over to the project manager who does the buyout process. Sometimes the estimator is the project manager.
What about timelines? Like,
Yeah,
because you talked about permitting and how does that work or not work?
yeah. So the timeline for buyout, we target no more than about 2 weeks,
Okay.
depending on if there's subcontractors that we're used to working with, or we're onboarding a new subcontractor, may change it. But we definitely identify the most important subs that are going first. They're typically going to be the MEP subs, the demolition sub, the drywall. But other timeline items would be something we experienced this last year, a lot of going back to about mid 2024, is life safety vendors are being bought up left and right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Fire alarm, fire sprinkler vendors,
Through these
the
private
smaller
equity
ones.
firms or
Yeah, so the smaller ones are
consolidated.
being bought out by larger ones. And I don't know if they're backed by private equity firms, but
Okay.
some of the bigger fire alarm firms are buying up smaller ones. Yeah.
Does that affect the job or?
It actually has quite a
Okay.
bit. So specific to tenant improvement projects, oftentimes those projects are 8, 10 week long projects.
Hmm.
Well, it takes 30 days to get fire alarm drawings. It takes 30 days to submit said drawings and get a permit from the AHJ.
And there's not really a lot of that. That's critical.
As
And
in,
you can't start building until, because what if the
so yeah. So the
code
workaround,
says change it and then you've already.
certain municipalities won't let you do anything until that's done. But fortunately, there are quite a few municipalities that it's kind of an operational gray area. But Pearland is one municipality where if they find out you did any fire alarm work without having a permit, they'll put you on a blacklist. And you won't be able to get permitted again.
Wow,
They
very
do not
serious.
play games. Yes.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that is a challenge that is specific to tenant improvements because a lot of the projects are the timelines are 60 days
Yeah.
max, and so that is a critical component.
I mean, I think that happens in, unfortunately, commercial and residential. It's like people think that they can, leave where they're at
Yeah,
and just walk right into where they're going to be. And those are two significant
yeah,
dates that are independent from each other, and yet they're trying to merge into one. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I can see how the timeline I know that we struggle with, and I laugh because most of the time I see timelines, I'm like, okay, that's a nice to know, and we're going to be ready as soon as y'all tell us we're ready.
yeah,
We're ready,
yeah.
so we don't want to be the ones slowing it down, but it's coordinating so many trades
Right.
to show up with the same capacity to move the project forward is such a balancing act. So I
It
admire
really
you
is.
guys for that.
Yeah.
All right, so what is a good sign that a GC is doing a good job?
I mean, the first sign is always if you see a photo or if you walk into a job site. So if you see a photo of or you walk into a job site, if the job site is a disaster, that is a red flag and a clear indication.
Meaning unorganized and just
Yeah, I
dirty.
mean, we all realize that it's a construction site. You're not gonna, eat off the floor or anything, but um each trade is usually given their own little staging area. Sometimes it may be right next to another trade staging area. But the expectation is during the workday, we realize you're going to be opening boxes and whatever, but at the end of the workdays, those boxes go into a dumpster or a trash buggy. Um, everybody is responsible for cleaning up their own trash, but it is the GC's responsibility to make sure that everybody is held accountable. So
Yeah.
that's one. Another one is proactive communication. You know, um, I learned I actually learned this specific skill from my time at O'Donnell Snyder. There was a guy there named Terry Atmar who kind of helped with some of the PMs and kind of teaching you to critically think about other things. One thing he told me, and I won't forget it, and he said, if you have difficult news to share it first thing in the morning. Um, yeah,
I
yeah. So
got a story. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So um, that actually goes back to the proactive communication because
Yeah.
clients sometimes don't want to hear what you have to say, but we would hope that they would appreciate the fact that we're actually communicating it, not trying to hide it.
Yeah.
You know,
All right. So in terms of evaluating a good GC, one of them you're saying proactive communication. I'm assuming during the proposal process, that's going to be an easy one to kind of qualify and
right?
make somebody stand out. The other one being at the job site and keeping it clean. Okay, so here's my story.
Okay,
Sharing news early, right?
okay,
So been married. We got married in 2003, so 22 years will be 24 years next. And so a friend of mine who had got married a year before I proposed, he was like, "Look, if you're going to take her to dinner and ask her at dinner, just ask at the beginning of dinner. Otherwise, you're going to bumble ordering. You're going to be nervous." And it's like, well, I took it to the stream. I organized that. Hey, we're going to go meet in the morning somewhere, and I had a photographer there on the side because she's a
oh, that's
photographer.
great.
But I was like, I'm just going to get it done right in the morning,
There you
first in
go.
the AM. So
Yeah. So
you're
you have a good day.
so you have a good day. It was
Yeah,
a great day, and
yeah.
she said yes and everything.
Well,
So
I'm thankful she said yes.
I am too. It was a life changing moment for the right path. But anyway, so his advice is bad news, share it quickly. But I love that because everybody that has the day to work on it versus at the end of the day and they got to sleep on it.
Right. Right. And,
Okay.
and I'll say this, you're right. Your question was more about pre-qualifying a GC, but
I was both.
yeah, I mean, throughout the course of a project, and we appreciate this with subcontractors. I think you and I have talked about this before. But when a problem comes up, instead of just saying, "Hey, here's a problem," it's, "Hey, here's a problem. Here's my solution. Here's my plan. Here's my recovery plan," right? Or here's a workaround. We can do this a little bit differently. It may cost us a little bit extra, but we've got some money over here that we're not going to spend. Why don't we reallocate that, kind of shuffle the deck a little bit? And a lot of GCs that I keep kind of going back, but have men and women who are new to the industry and haven't spent time building personal connections and personal relationships. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to have those conversations.
Well, so lack of experience can cause that, and also personality. I worked. This is a separate industry, but I remember working in a restaurant, and it was a very successful restaurant. And the owner of the restaurant, I could tell it was single location, very, very high end. And he ran it with an iron fist. It was very unpleasant, right? So the team down below was always nervous to suggest or try and solve. It's like, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want to do? And so I think another good kick, cooperation and communication. You talked a little bit about that earlier and stuff. Tell me about the different effects of scope creep and changes on. Because I know that we mentioned that a little bit offline.
Yeah. So
what is scope creep?
Yeah, so
that somebody
so scope creep can mean a couple of different things, right? It can mean things that maybe were missed, or they were things that were uncovered throughout the process. Because in a renovation, none of us are Superman. We don't have X-ray vision, so we can't see through walls and see through ceilings. Even though all the lovely architects and engineers out there love putting general notes, thinking that we can see through walls and see through ceilings, but that's another topic for another time.
We love architects.
Yeah, we love y'all.
We do. We absolutely do.
No, but really, I mean, unforeseen conditions, right? And then there's the third component, which is the requests, right? To move an outlet, move a wall, move this, move that. Oftentimes, clients, owners, will think, well, you're already here. It's not that big of a deal just to move that wall over. I'm serious. I literally have that conversation weekly.
Yeah.
They think, well, you're already here. Why? What? In fact, I've even had some say, you're already here. Why are you charging me at all? And so I think owners should be educating themselves a little bit more, and with the help of general contractors, that there's a chain of events that happens when you start a project. Once you start changing that, it affects everything downstream. As a flooring vendor, you know this probably all too well, that by the time it gets to your scope, all of that discovery is done and there's no time left in the schedule. So now general contractors are asking vendors like the flooring vendor and the millwork vendor to
pick up the days.
Yeah, to do things in an unreasonable amount of time. I mean, that's the truth. Or we're like, hey, there's 7 days in a week. Why aren't you working 7 days?
Yes.
So
that's interesting too. And I think again, you talked about communication, and I wish our clients and up and down the food chain were always open to communication. We have kind of off color. We have an oh shit, don't forget list.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are the things we don't forget?
Yeah.
And we used to try and use that as a quasi sales tool. Hey, by the way, here are the things we think you could get tripped up in the plans.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we felt like if we do it that way, presenting flooring packages, we can sometimes speak into the job and help show that we're thinking about it more.
So I try to do that I like getting brought in on the preliminary side to be able to impart that knowledge.
So you can be a part of it.
So we could be a part of it and mitigate potential issues down the road. We're a part of the team early on. I realize that clients don't like committing that early in the process, but
Mhm.
we at least like to be a resource early in the process for the exact reason you just described.
Yeah.
And being able to identify those things before they become problems.
Yeah. So tell me, who's your typical client? Who's hiring you?
Yeah,
I want to give you and Bayshore a little bit more recognition. I
sure.
appreciate you being on the podcast. So, well, if I said, "Hey, I've got your best client, your new best client," what does that new best client look like for you?
Oh, yeah. The one who his money is green.
Any
No,
client,
yeah, no.
that's for sure. That's a good
I will say, it may not be the most popular thing, but I have fired clients in the past.
Yeah,
Um, it hurts my heart when I have to do that, but I have had to do that because there's a certain level of respect that I, would expect our clients to treat us with. And when it goes around, when it gets away from that, then obviously we have a problem. But our ideal client, we actually do quite a bit of healthcare work, in addition to our interiors work. In fact, I would say we probably do a little bit more
on
on
the
the
healthcare
healthcare side.
side.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Is
Um,
it healthcare in the med center or doc in a box ERs
yeah,
or
yeah. Sometimes we have a master agreement with Texas
oh,
Children's.
you do? Okay.
We do. So
Our teams are badged. We're good.
oh, are you? Okay, well that's good to know. Maybe we'll take that conversation offline,
Yes, we can.
um, but yeah, so we work in the med center, specifically with Texas Children's, hoping to one day be able to leverage that relationship because we're a very small minnow in that big pond because
Yeah,
our
it's
competitors
big.
are the likes of Tellefson and
Yeah.
DPR and McCarthy and Bellows. So those are big names in our industry.
Right.
So we're hoping one day we can kind of use that as a stepping stone. And then, yes, doc in a box, those sort of things
Yeah.
do come up as well. Surgery centers, dialysis centers, emergency, freestanding emergency facilities.
What about property management firms or real estate firms? Are they
Yeah. So,
brokers?
yes, I will say, admittedly, I'm probably not the best in working the channel through the brokers, but we do have a long list of property management partners that we work with. We've done quite a bit of landlord work. Um, we actually are also one of the few contractors that get the chance to work in the aerospace industry as well. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
Being
so
down there close to NASA?
right. I think it's just a geographical thing. God said, "Okay, you're right there, so we're gonna put you all
Okay.
together." So, um, we've seen some pretty cool stuff in
Yeah.
doing that. I'll say in my career, saw some things at one of those facilities I didn't think ever existed.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it was pretty interesting.
Little Area 51 kind of stuff
No, it
or
wasn't quite.
technology?
Yeah, I know I'm being cryptic with it, but it wasn't quite that much. It was. All right, I could say this. It was spacesuits.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't just spacesuits. It's literally the manufacturing process of spacesuits.
Wow.
So
Okay.
uh, pretty interesting stuff. You're obviously not allowed to take cameras in there or anything
Yeah.
or phones, but it's pretty cool.
So,
Wrap your head around. I mean, every government building, every hospital, every surgery, someone built that.
yeah.
So you never know what kind of projects will happen.
All right. So this has been a good conversation. I know we're coming to an end. So you said you had I don't know, I was gonna go in a different direction. I was gonna tease you about you where did you go the other night with your daughter?
Oh, last night we went to Benson Boone.
So late night
Yeah,
concert
yeah.
and
That was
with
fun.
a little teenage what do
There
you
was a
call it?
bunch of there was a bunch of young girls there, and
Yeah.
let me tell you, the one regret I have going to that concert last night is that I didn't bring my noise canceling AirPods.
Oh, really? Because of
Not
the
because the music
screams?
was bad.
Yeah.
Benson Boone, highly recommend, great artist. But the screams, the screams of 30,000, teenagers and
Yeah.
teenagers and the likes of them, was a little rough.
Well, so I brought that up only in the sense that I admire the span of your parenting and the number of kids. I was
Yeah.
excited when we talked and learned of your
Yeah.
new little one and everything like that. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you have a boat to go fishing when you need a moment
Yes.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So and for me, my daughter's 15. We're gonna get to go do. I was gonna share this dog yoga, puppy yoga. And so your older daughters, or daughter, if you want to like have an event, they go to you do a little yoga class with some puppies and stuff.
Interesting.
So anyways, but no,
That sounds amazing.
it actually it looks fun. I'm excited because she, like you said, the teenage years, they sometimes kind of distance themselves. She's kind
Yeah.
of coming back and stuff.
Yeah.
But so Bayshore Construction, 5 years in business, and I can see you talked about medical, you talked about some higher end tenant improvement stuff. It's been great to get to know you. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think if there's a last good question we could ask.
Yeah.
But I love your approach in terms of, open communication with the client, and I agree completely. Like a clean job site, if I could get that as tight of a system as there's always improvement in that, and I know that
I
I
agree.
want to get
Yeah.
that with our guys. So
Yeah, I think yeah, it's an effort that I think everybody tries. It's the difference is I think we actually my if you ever talk to any of my guys, they would tell you that there are certain expectations and I like to surprise them on job sites.
oh, nice.
Yes. And so I never tell them when I'm coming. Or if they do know that I'm coming to the job site for a meeting or whatnot, I usually show up an hour or two early,
uh
to see if they're kind of like an anthill that just got kicked or something,
Yeah.
So
I think
uh,
that's your parenting experience to know to show up early
yeah.
to see if they really did clean the house.
And I must say, I mean, my staff is excellent when it comes to
They
that.
do.
They run a very clean job site. We actually probably spend more money on cleanup and temporary protection than most general contractors
Oh
do.
wow. Okay.
It's important, and when clients actually get to see those things, they see, okay, this general contractor actually cares about what we're doing. And that's not to say that other general contractors don't. I'm just
No.
saying, like, in our experience, that is a easy way to get a referral.
Yeah. There's
So,
definitely a spectrum, and I would agree on that. Well, Jesse, you've been a great
yeah,
guest
thank
to
you.
have here, and
This was incredible.
I
I
like.
really like this.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
everybody, Bayshore Construction, Houston, Texas. You'll find him on tenantimprovement.com. We talked about a couple other things, permitting stuff. We have permitting experts on tenantimprovement.com, some architects. Take a look and see if there's any questions. Contact us. Hit like and subscribe on the podcast. And again, thank you for watching. Jeff Megow, tenantimprovement.com, Lease and Build Podcast. See you next time.